All right, well, a good evening to you. It is a Wednesday. It's been a little while since we have done one of these live updates in the evening, but I figured it was time to do one as we will be headed into a first alert weather day for your Thursday. It's going to be a day that likely starts out with our first accumulating snow of the season. It's been several months since we've had activity like this. I'd actually have to dig back into the record book and see when the last time we had snow was. Feels like March or maybe early April, but here we are. It is a first alert weather day going into Thursday. Reason being is we expect a round of accumulating snow to come through overnight tonight. It's going to be a wet, slushy snow, and I would suspect that, especially at the onset, whatever falls initially will start to melt on the road surface. So at first it would be accumulating in grassy areas, but we will see strong winds picking up as that snow is coming through, and so that is going to lead to a visibility reduction. We could have times where that visibility is down around a quarter mile or less, so you're talking about near blizzard conditions at times. It won't be the duration that you would need for a blizzard, but we certainly could see the visibility and the wind at that criteria, at least for moments in time. We are looking at a slushy 1 to 3 inch accumulation, most prevalent in grassy areas, but as the event goes on, especially if that snow rate can pick up a little bit, certainly possible that we would see at least stretches of certain roads turn slushy and slippery, and would expect some problems to begin to develop on some roadways in northeastern Wisconsin. I don't expect widespread travel issues where every single road you're on is just snow covered and a mess, but there certainly could be some that do get that way. So let's take a look right now at First Alert Viper Max imagery, and you can see that activity starting to materialize off to our north. Now, earlier in the evening, we had been dealing with a few light snow showers, a little flurry activity around the Fox cities, and you do still see some of that activity lingering. So we'll go ahead and zoom in and take a closer look at some of that first, and then we'll head on up to Upper Michigan. So you'll note here the little bit of light activity around the New London area, just south of there, kind of towards Wyawega, Fremont. We'll see the potential for a few flakes out of this, but it's not going to lead to any significant issues. What we will be watching for then is going to be the activity you're seeing up here, just getting through the Escanaba area, northern sections of Menominee County. Now we're using the Green Bay radar. Let me move to a different computer here real quick and see if this, actually we may not have Marquette turned on this system. It's still pretty far away from the Marquette radar too, so it doesn't stand out too much at this particular time, but that is the activity that will be pivoting through as we go into the early morning hours. So when we put this into motion, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's an area of low pressure over lower Michigan. And so what we're going to be doing tonight is wrapping the precipitation, all of this activity that's wrapping around Canada, lower Michigan, it's going to end up into upper Michigan, and then it will start sliding down into northern and eastern Wisconsin. And so that's going to be what brings us that snowfall. Now there is some mixing farther to the east in upper Michigan where there's a little bit of rainfall still in it. By the time all of that gets in here, I would expect it to be snowfall, just like what we're seeing right pivoting through the area in very light fashion. Now, earlier in the day, if you were watching Action 2 News at 4:30, 5 o'clock, I showed you a camera out of the La Crosse area that had a little bit of a dusting in the grass with the stuff that's moving into the Fox cities right now. So what we're dealing with over the next hour or two is not going to cause any significant issue. But later on tonight, once we get this lobe of steadier snow to start dropping southward, then we could see some travel problems mount. Melissa, I would expect most of this to melt away by the afternoon. The one caveat to that, if you will, would be if you are at all concerned and you don't want any slickness on the sidewalk, driveway, anything like that. If you have to be out at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, you may end up just pushing a layer of slush off the driveway, off the sidewalk, just to avoid any problems. But odds are, even if you let that go, it would melt off at some point. But it might take a few more hours, even after the snow comes to an end, for that to happen. Now, if you've thrown a little salt down or something like that, then probably no problems at all. Temperatures tonight should get to just right around freezing. We'll hover in the lower 30s, and that is going to lead to some of this sticking in grassy areas. The first batches that start to come down in the road likely won't stick, but what can happen is when the snow gets a little steadier, instead of sticking to the road, it kind of just sticks to itself. So you get a layer of moisture underneath, and then those snowflakes start piling up, and so you can still get slushy conditions to form, even if the surface and the road temperature is above freezing. So that's what I would expect to happen later on tonight. There will be some slippery roads around. I don't expect widespread issues, but certainly roads that do not get any treatment could be problematic, and then there's going to be that window when the steadiest snow is coming down, and we'll show you that show that to you here on Predictor in just a second, so you can get a sense of the timing of this. But I would say, any time between about 4 and 7 o'clock in the morning is when we would be looking at the majority of any problems. That's also going to correspond to when the wind starts picking up and when I would expect the most significant visibility reduction, where we could get to those near whiteout conditions in spots. So going through the night, we'll pick it up here on Predictor just right about now, and then through midnight you see those snow showers just starting to get through Door County, Meriden, northern parts of Oconto County. Likely at midnight that we are still snow free, at least in terms of the steady activity around Green Bay or the Fox Valley. There might be a flurry or two lingering from what's tracking in right this second. But the main event, if you will, probably doesn't get underway until around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning around the Fox Valley. Now, once we start into that snow, there will be bouts where it is on the heavier side, and check those winds out. Westerly winds, 22 miles per hour sustained, gusting to 40, and this is at 5 o'clock in the morning. So even though this is a heavy, wet snow, when it's in the air and falling, that wind is certainly going to blow it around. So this is going to be prime time for those almost whiteout conditions for parts of the area. It won't be widespread everywhere the entire time, but there might be, you're driving down the road, everything is looking okay, and then all of a sudden, boom, just like that, you get into one of those bursts of heavier snowfall or some stronger winds, and all of a sudden visibility goes from a mile or two down to a quarter mile or under that. And so that's what you could see happening early in the morning, or really not necessarily early in the morning, but during the pre-dawn hours. As we get closer to daybreak, we start to see more rain mixing in north, and that rain-snow transition line is likely working its way southward right through the Fox cities around the time of our morning commute. So at 7 o'clock it might be snow, by 7:30 or 8 o'clock it may be rain, but there will still be some travel issues that linger. It's not like a light switch flipping and all of a sudden we have slushy roads and then it starts to rain and there's no problem. There could still be some issues that linger through the mid to late morning, but by the afternoon, temperatures will be pushing into the 40s, and we will be dealing with just rain showers. So at that point, any travel issues are likely mitigated. By the lunch hour, you see that band of steadier rain just to the west of the Fox cities, but we could see those showers right on through the Fox Valley. The takeaway here is that once we get into the afternoon, you would be looking at a rain event, and it could be something of a steady rain with quarter, half an inch of rain expected, and then that would be on top of the 1, 2, maybe 3 inches of slushy wet snow that we are anticipating. So let's get you a latest map of the snowfall totals here, and these are going to be coming in from north to south overnight tonight. So you'll see the numbers add up first across upper Michigan, northern Wisconsin, but it's likely that the heaviest totals do come farther south. You'll be in the snow for a bit longer by that time. So Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, down towards the Milwaukee area. Maybe we do see some isolated spots that pick up closer to 4 inches. But this is going to be one of those events where what gets measured at the official observation site at the airport may not necessarily correlate to what you see out your window, just because of the melting and the compaction that is going to take place as we get into this event. Temperatures will be just above freezing when a lot of that snow is coming down. Maybe we level off right at 31, 32 degrees, but it's still going to be a close call. There'll still be a lot of water weight in this snow, and so it will shrink down and compress down. And given how warm it has been, there is likely going to be some melting on the road surface, sidewalks, and parking lots and the like. But bridges, overpasses, you get the cold air under there, you could see some more significant issues pile up. roundabouts, anywhere like that where you're having to make some sharper turns. That can be a spot where you lose traction. So be mindful of that. Give yourself enough time. The possibility of a greater than 2-inch snowfall, you'll notice that it's not in the high category. Moderate, so 40 to 80%. Generally to the south of Green Bay and through the Fox cities is where the chances for that would be highest. I can enter into the graphic here and change the file that we're looking at to look at a 4-inch snowfall just to see if anything shows up on that. And so you see the chances of a 4-inch snowfall even more greatly reduced, but there is still that low end shot just to the south of Lake Winnebago, so that would put it on into Fond du Lac and into Sheboygan counties. So there's the possibility that we do get some higher end totals out of this, but again, you may not notice it just because of how mild the temperature is. Now, I do want to touch base on the wind. It will be whipping up. You may have noticed it, the numbers there on the predictor graphic when I showed it. Let me grab my wind graphic out of here, and we'll talk about those wind speeds. Now, the graphic that I'm going to call up on screen here will show gusts and wind speeds starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. Just know that those 20, 25 mile per hour sustained winds will be expected as the snow is coming in, and the gusts up around 40, maybe even closer to 50 miles per hour in some spots. So that is going to lead to a drop in visibility. So let me get the predictor visibility graphic going here, and we will show you what modeling has to say on that. Of course, we scrolled through it pretty quickly at our Action 2 News at 4, 5, and 6. And let's see. There it is. I don't know if this version of it has fog on the top. This is a graphic that obviously we use for fog when it's that time of year. But today the visibility reduction is going to be a result of falling snow and strong winds. And you'll notice as we get into that early morning time frame, midnight, 1, 2 a.m. as the snow is coming in north, that's where you see the visibility dropping to a 1/4 mile in Marinette, under a 1/2 mile for Lakewood and Pembine. As we go through the event, in fact, I'll back it up here just to stop it at 4 and 5 o'clock. That's likely when the visibility is worst around Green Bay, and then in the Fox cities, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you get those 1/4 mile visibilities. Manitowoc 1/4 mile at 5 a.m. By 6 o'clock in the morning, the lowest visibility starting to shift south of the Fox cities, so we're starting to see improvement around Green Bay. Still close to 1/2 mile for Appleton and Oshkosh, but even lower around Fond du Lac and Sheboygan. And as we head into the heart of our morning commute, 7:30, 8, 9 o'clock, you see the numbers around the Fox Valley significantly improving as we get into just rain showers and we get rid of that snow. So we may luck out here in that the worst visibility comes in just a couple hours prior to when the majority of our commute takes place. So, that's one favorable aspect of this is that as we get into that transition and start moving things over to rainfall from snow, that the visibility goes up, and that's when the majority of folks would be taking to the roads. Go ahead and pull the graphic up right now. I doubt we would see any issues road travel-wise. I don't know why it's not loading anything up. I'll have to look into that. So we'll check on that a little later and see if I can get the road map going here at 10 o'clock just to see if there are any issues, but I would not expect to see any travel issues whatsoever across the area. So tonight, right now, but that may not be the case in the morning. So just a quick look and an overview here. We're going to be watching this batch of its rain and snow mixed as it starts to come through upper Michigan and pivot back down into Wisconsin. It will be snowfall and is going to lead to that minor accumulation, a slushy 1, 2, maybe even up to 3 inches of snowfall in spots. As we get into Thursday afternoon, if your travels would take you towards the Madison area, we've got some state playoff football action. It is championship week, and Stratford will be taking on Wrightstown. So Wrightstown, if you're making the trip down, I would expect you to go I-41 to 151 into Madison. It's likely going to be still some showers that you're dodging during the afternoon. If you're out there in the morning, road conditions as you're leaving the Fox Valley might be a little treacherous, but should improve as you get farther west. It's going to be a raw day, though. Highs in the upper 30s there in Madison, a strong northwest wind. So it's definitely going to be a day to bundle up, bring the poncho, the rain gear, and be prepared for not the most pleasant viewing conditions, but a good day for the run, I suppose. Friday, we've got a couple of games. Notre Dame taking on Catholic Memorial. That's the morning game at 10 o'clock. And then the 4 p.m., we've got Bayport taking on Muskego. Temperatures for those games likely to be in the 40s. We should be dry, but still looking at a fair amount of cloud cover and still a bit on the breezy side. Winds will be stronger on Thursday with those gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour, but we could still catch some 20, 25 mile per hour gusts out there for Friday. Now, looking at Saturday, I'm sure a lot of hunters have this one and have had this day circled on the calendar for quite some time. Last week, we were talking about the potential, maybe the system moved through, that we could have a little tracking snow left over for the gun deer opener. I doubt that would be the case with highs getting into the 40s tomorrow, maybe even into the upper half of the 40s on Friday. I don't think we see any of the snow hang around, so you probably don't have any fresh tracking snow, at least in the local area. Maybe as you get into upper Michigan, something can stick around up that way, but even that would probably be a slim chance. But what you can expect, mostly cloudy conditions, wind chills in the 20s, so I would expect that we're cold enough with just enough wind to get the deer up and moving around. They're not going to stay hunkered in all day, so conditions could be worse, but no, does not look like we would have any tracking snow for you this go around, at least this early in the season, and we'll see what happens next week. Looking ahead at Sunday, Packers and 49ers is a 3:25 kickoff at Lambeau Field. Cloudy skies expected for the tailgaters. You're looking at mid-40s, and then as the game is being played, we'll be dropping down through the lower 40s, but not as much wind to contend with on Sunday as compared to Thursday or Friday. So your first alert Super 7-day forecast going to show we have highs in the 40s here as we go through the next several days. Of course, your Thursday is a first alert weather day with the strong winds expected and that slushy snowfall. Then we look at the wind continuing on Friday, mostly cloudy there, mostly cloudy Saturday, lots of clouds around on Sunday. Another weather maker could bring some rain or a wintry mix into the region on Monday, and we'll have to watch for a little snow on the backside of that system as well, as a blast of colder air looks to settle in just before Thanksgiving. Could be the coolest air so far this season, with highs staying in the 30s, and might be what you would have to expect on Thanksgiving Thursday as well. So with that, we're coming up on 9:30 here. Go ahead and leave you with the 7-day forecast. We'll have Action 2 news coming up at 10 o'clock. Hope to see you then. Of course, I think we have maybe the CMA Awards on tonight, so it's possible we go on a little bit late. But regardless, whenever that wraps up, we will have a full update and let you know just what to expect for this first alert weather day, our first accumulating snow on Thursday.